You're listening to Vince and Matt on the Montreal Marketeers podcast. Can I start now? Yeah? It's okay, Matt? Okay. Because right now we're on take 52 and I want to start.
All right. Welcome to this week's...
Whoa. My turn. We're here with the Montreal Marketeers. The first episode of the new year 2018, and we want to reflect a bit on 2017. So
you don't want to be polite and wish people Happy New Year?
No, we're not like that.
Okay, Happy New Year, everybody, from Matthew of the Montreal Marketeers.
Matthew. And now it's time to get back to work. Vince, the hustler, is here. All right. So Matt, you started off. What did you think that we wanted to accomplish for 2017 with Montreal Marketeers, and did we accomplish it?
Well, we set out to do this.
What's this? Clarify. What's this?
The podcast, the Montreal Marketeers podcast.
Okay.
I believe our first week was October 1st, but we were 2017, so last year. I think we were talking about this in June, July. We were trying to find something to do where we would be able to learn a lot and basically become better marketers. And our initial goal was to find interesting entrepreneurs and interview them and find out what their story is and show it to the world. And I think we set out to do this goal because, listening to podcasts ourselves, Vince, you made me start listening to NPR. I was into Gary Vee at the beginning, and I'm interested in him. And we really kicked off on the point of, a lot of interesting stories, a lot of interesting marketing stuff coming out.
So let's go back. So just so everyone knows, we like, there's a handful of podcasts we like. That's Joe Rogan, Mitch Joel, 6 Pixels of Separation, Gary Vaynerchuk, just the life of Gary Vaynerchuk, I guess you could say. Yeah. And then there's NPR, How I Built This, with Guy Raz, which is really cool, really interesting. That's a lot of fun.
And that's kind of one of the most similar to what we're doing.
Yeah, and that's the ones we got introduced to each other back and forth and kind of always talking about those stories. So now continuing, sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I'm used to being interrupted by you. It's okay. But, so we set out to find interesting people. We were more focused on entrepreneurs when we were kind of deciding to do this and how we would go about it. But quickly we realized it wasn't really about necessarily the entrepreneur itself or himself or herself. It was more of the story. So we ended up interviewing artists or other marketers and seeing like how they got to where they are now and any advice they can give to us or people that are in similar situations. So to go back to your question of, do I think we succeeded or how it turned out for the first year, I think we did pretty good. One of my initial concerns was how are we going to get these people? Kind of relied on you on that because you really are the go-getter and you're very good at talking at people. It's not necessarily go-getter. We're both go-getters in our own way. Yeah, but in that perspective,
I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable in that atmosphere, the unknown. Yeah. The unknown just drives me, so that's fine.
And you're also a very good, big people person.
Yeah. And it's one thing that was really funny is we were talking about that earlier this week, and you said, "Oh, Vince, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was
I'm surprised how much we got. It was a lot
easier than I thought to get those 13 interviews for 2017. I was like, oh no, I think it was a lot harder. I was expecting it to be easier. So it's funny how we both work on the same project, 24/7. Yet we have two different views on how 2017 even happened with the interviews.
Yeah. What about you? So for me, it was overall very successful. What about you? What did you feel?
So I found it was really interesting on the type of tools we chose to use for the podcast. So we chose a Blue Yeti mic. We had 2 laptops, which we already owned, which was easy. And then we just, kind of bootstrapped everything else together, whether it means using some tools that come with the MacBook Pro to edit and stuff, and even asking friends for help if we needed another hand to record and so forth. I think on that part, really interesting, the quality of audio that came out of the post we did. The one thing though that I'm slightly disappointed with is I was really happy to use Squarespace as a platform for a website. It saves a lot of time. You can easily update literally audio files, pictures, content. You can be 2 people within the platform using it at the same time as well. It's just really easy to use. Whereas WordPress is really advanced as well, and it's easy to use, but you still have to finish around with it.
Yeah.
That's it. So
and now we're on a pretty tight deadline when we try to.
Well, it's just that we have a few things this is just one side project with some other ones as well in our main.
Yeah, because we do work on WordPress as well. I know you on your personal website you switched to Squarespace, but you used to use WordPress before. I use WordPress for mine, but just the figuring out on I want to get this done and I wanted to not break anywhere. I think that Squarespace was the better choice for us at the beginning. Yeah, because when WordPress does an update or an app does an update, you don't know what's going to happen to your site as well. And I'm not too worried. People say, WordPress is the most hackable sites out there. Yeah, but I'm not really too worried about that. Yeah. There's no commerce going on our site. Yeah. So on that part, now the negative side, you might say, well, they're talking really great about Squarespace. The downside is when you load an audio file, there's no real easy way, and I've worked with Squarespace directly on this, there's no really easy way to find out how many plays you've had and the duration of time. Forget about the metrics of it. Even on the hosting side of it, we noticed that you had to press play 10 times before it started working sometimes. It's quite annoying. Yeah, so you have to be careful on the size. Yeah. With audio, which I thought would not be a problem, it would be more video because you may be loading half a gig, let's say, of video. Where audio, its file size is very small, but still we have to be careful. So I found that was slightly some limitations I wasn't too pleased with. And the biggest one is actually the analytics side. Yeah. I'd like to know how many plays we get. I mean, seeing that we're a podcast, it's very important. We do have, obviously, metrics that we can tell that we currently use, but I think the best way to go about something like this in the near future would be to pay for a third-party service to have all the audio go through, and then that would be your source of analytics. So no matter where they play it, it's all feeding off of, let's say, SoundCloud. Would get you a total amount of plays. Yeah. When you're doing video and you're playing it on YouTube and you're having it on Facebook, there's a lot of analytics there ready for you to figure stuff out. So that's interesting because you're using it in that medium. But when it came to us, that was the one downfall I saw for it. And in the end, we are marketers, right? We call each other the marketeers for a reason. We do love the analytics side of it, and it's one of the other reasons we started this is we want to see, can we build our own brand? What does it entail? What strategies can we utilize to get there? And it's usually strategies that in our current jobs we can't really touch on. It's not really part of our mandate. But we always thought it was interesting to dabble in that, and that's why we started the project as well.
Yeah, I think the goal is always going to be for 2018. The main goal is the selfish goal of us interviewing constantly people that interest us, whether they've been in experiences that are really interesting or that they have an interesting story to tell, a company they started and so forth. So on that note then, Matt, for 2018, what are some of the things you want to see us accomplish then?
For the first thing, I always like to work on what I can get better at. I guess a little tidbit of information for people that weren't aware. The actual first episode that we did was with it was actually, I think, episode 6 that we released. And when I listened to that audio of myself, I was cringing of how bad I was. And I was like, oh my god, what is this guy doing? I still don't feel like I'm comfortable enough, but I do see the improvement, especially when we did our first French episode. That one there, listening to myself speak French has been so long that I've actually had to, on a full interview, speak French. It was interesting to see that, in my opinion, how much I degraded from what I used to be at one point. So for 2018, one of my first goals is actually to get better at the interview process, kind of what my goal was for 2017.
I found even for myself, I would repeat a lot. Like when asking a question, and use words and such, but also not only and such, but just literally you ask a question and then you try to re-explain it. Yeah. Because you're not sure if the guest understood it or the audience is not understanding. In reality, they understood. Like you don't have to do that. No. So that's one thing that I'm still working on, and I think that it'll get better in 2018. Yeah,
and then besides that, one of the things in 2017 that I feel that we were kind of not doing enough was trying to, we spoke about social media, and we spoke about a lot of things that we wanted to be active on, and I think we fell victim to just trying to do everything at the same time. We focused on consistency for one episode a week all the time. We took a break for Christmas because we figured, it's not the time to release. People are busy. We'll enjoy the week off. But I feel like one of my goals for 2018 personally is to be more consistent on posting, whether it's, not just posting once a week for our actual podcast or videos, but also making content for people. Because I think that our skill set is also just pure marketing. Like that's what we're just.
Yeah, I would like to. One thing is for sure, like to go more in depth on a few topics that we heard about during 2017 and will be hearing about.
Yeah.
We've already recorded a few for 2018, so we know what's coming up. But there's some acronyms, there's some marketing terms that I've never even heard of that are quite new in the digital space. So I think I want to uncover those a little more and talk about them. Now, whether we choose to talk about it before the episode is live so they understand it before or talk about it after.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But I think nonetheless, we should be tackling every few weeks, at least every few weeks, marketing talk.
Yeah,
and it's not, I mean, interviews are great, don't get me wrong, you learn a lot. But someone might be thinking to themselves, I just want to start a Facebook page. Where do I start?
Yeah.
And how what should I be thinking about when creating a Facebook
and even
page?
whether this is on podcasts or on YouTube posting a video, one of the things we decided already in 2018 is that we want to post videos. A lot of the interviews or the podcasts we worked on, you guys hear one part of it where we're actually just doing the interview, but a lot of times we stay an hour, 2 hours later just discussing marketing. Like what we like to do the most. And I feel like there's a lot of value for not only our interviewees, but also guests to see what, how we work, how we see things, the experience we have in marketing, and just put that out there to the world. So whether it's on a podcast format or a video format, I think Vince, we've agreed that, we're going to work on that.
Well, this goes into the next question. Like, so for 2018 then, what do you foresee that we're going to be working on? You touched a bit about it. And I guess you're going to go into the video side of things. Yeah. So we're going to focus more on Instagram and Facebook, obviously, which we've been doing, but we haven't been posting enough on building a brand and having an actual strategy. So one thing to say you're going to post, and it's easy just to post, I think, and even then some people find it challenging.
Yeah.
But to post every day, I can take a picture of just what I'm looking at every day and post it. But to have a strategy behind it, I think it's going to be important. And I think you're leading into video, right? This is the first time we're videotaping as well, one of our segments. So I think we'll probably do a lot more video.
Yeah, because we talk, we're trying to see, we're all about storytelling at Montreal Marketeers, obviously. But we also have our own story that we want to push out. And we kind of have to build an audience to do that because we are building a podcast and all that. So what I'm planning strategically for 2018 is, yes, videos, of course, more marketing-focused videos. And you can kind of see on the personal side of what I'm working on for my own brand, Matthew Peldo, and I'm sure you're doing it on yourself, Vince, for VincenzoControne.com. Things like supply and demand for me, how to price products out to the market, how to assess a customer's needs. Like those are things that have always fascinated me. Those are things I read about, that I work on my day-to-day job, that I've been working on for 3 years now, where I'm at, and that's always how I think when I'm at work. Like it's not just about producing results. It's like always how is the customer reacting to my work.
I think that for 2018 we're gonna see, or you're gonna see a different side. Of Montreal Marketeers. We're not saying it yet there, but we're gonna be for sure telling a bit more about our story, how we met, and why we started Montreal Marketeers, and some of the elements behind there. Because we kind of touched on it a bit before, but we haven't really got into it. We've interviewed quite a few people, and the funny thing that I've seen majority of the time is they ask how we met and our story, and the first reaction always, yeah, but you haven't told that yet. That's really cool. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
How that happened. So I think it'll come in tidbits, but as we interview a few more people, you'll get to know a bit about us as well during the process, and then bit by bit we'll release some information.
Yeah, it's a lot of we're getting more comfortable now too.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it's like, well, who the hell wants to listen to us? But now by doing the podcast, we're realizing, well, no, people actually enjoy our story too.
We're getting feedback from people saying, I like that one. I didn't like this one here, but I really like that one. So to end our review of 2017 now, do you have any favorite episodes or podcasts you can think of? And also at the same time, keep in mind that someone might be listening to this for the first time.
Yeah.
So do you have any recommendations if you had to tell someone, hey, you want to take a listen to Montreal Marketeers? Great. Whether it be a friend, why not? Start with these 3 episodes.
For me, I'm not gonna play favorites, but I will name one out of personal interest, and that to me was the lab. So if people don't know me, I love wine, I love cocktails and all that, and just to see someone that's it was Gabrielle that we interviewed, 27, basically the same age as me. work so hard on a project, come out with, open a second bar, have their own line of vermouth, their own line of bitters. Like, that was fascinating to me.
And their line of vermouth could be found, their bitters no, but their vermouth line
at SAQ. It was just amazing to have that experience. And that was, I know you worked hard to get that one for me because you knew I would love going to that interview.
And I love that place to begin with, because I've been there a few times, and whenever someone asks me about where can I go on a date, on a first date, or I just want to go out somewhere for a few drinks with either friends, wives, girlfriends, I always think of the lab because it's a speakeasy environment, so it's a little hidden, and it's the only place that you can walk in, describe what you'd like to taste, and they'll manufacture it in a drink on the spot. So I thought that was really unique. There's not many places.
Those industrial terms coming out, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Mix is maybe a better...
Mix. The lab tenders, right? So...
What's your favorite interview?
I don't have a favorite. I'd say same here.
Wait, why don't you ask me a question if you're not applying?
I was just trying to trick you.
I know.
To see if you name one, and then I can make fun of you,
okay.
in future episodes. But I would say I really liked our episode with Ala Hassan from a knowledge standpoint. It was really interesting. I also really liked Neil's episode. Neil Turner from Canada's motorcycle company. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. He was, being himself throughout and kind of like giving some tidbits on how he started in the market, and it was just very real, very honest.
Yeah,
I thought that was really great. And then also, I would say our first one was really interesting as well. Our first and second one, because it was the first few that we did. Having a Canadian artist, was really interesting. Talking about
Vince, at this point, just name all 13 episodes.
No, I won't.
And at this point, I said favorite.
I know. I have to leave a few because you have to listen to a few to get an idea of what we're all about because it's so different.
Uh-huh.
And then I just find that one there was just him talking about making phone calls and ringing doorbells of artists to try to collaborate or try to get a record deal or whatnot. Just something that you don't really, the artists of today are not really experiencing if you're just starting out. You're probably going through Instagram, social media. So to talk about the effects of social media on that industry alone is like incredible.
Vince, I'm gonna steal your thunder here because I know you're gonna try to beat me to it.
Okay, what's that?
We usually end our podcast with a question that's a bit funky or tailored to our guest. So
not only a question, we tried it this year. We tried something different. God. We did a fast.
Can you let me speak?
A speed process.
Oh my God.
Okay, go.
Let me speak, Vince. I know you like to end it, but let me speak.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear something nice at the end. So, for Montreal Marketeers, there's 3 different questions. What was the best moment so far? Worst moment so far? And the moment you're looking forward to the most in 2018?
The best and worst moment has to be working with you. They're both the same.
Okay.
That's the best times, and there's some frustrating times.
So the best time is when I just do everything, and the worst is when I have to correct.
The best time is when you listen.
Oh, okay.
And not hard-headed. But in reality, when you are hard-headed, we get our best work out of it as well, because we're both battling back and forth. But I'd say the best times, I think, is just funny enough driving to the interview process.
Trying to or trying back when we're all excited about how awesome it was?
Both, just driving back, whether it's like you think it's awesome, I think it's terrible, or vice versa, or we both think it's terrible, and then we actually listen to it, and it's awesome. Yeah. And to clarify, that's happened many times, but we actually, in the end, liked every single one of our podcasts, which was really funny. The episodes, all great. We don't edit much out of them, which we found has been a huge benefit. So that, I think, a mixture of that has been what I like, and I guess what I dislike is the analytics side is really bothering me on this whole thing. I want to know more about what's working, and that's bothering me.
Okay. And what are you looking forward to the most 2018?
I think video.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, video is really... You can't just steal me too. It's not fair.
Who's the one that said, let me buy a camera so we can do this?
I thought you were going to ask me the question so I can answer it. But I see, okay, so you want me to ask you now? Is that the case? I'm going to do something different. I'm just going to ask you simply, what interviewer, what guest are you looking forward to for 2018? Now, obviously, we don't have everyone for 2018, so who would you be interested to get? Or if you can't answer an individual, that's fine.
I can answer an individual. So I love reading a lot. And one of the goals I started with when I was 18, and one of our guests, I've seen that he's doing, Alassane is doing a 1 book a week challenge. And it's something that's helped me throughout my young career of just learning in marketing and just opening my mind to what are the possibilities or what are the mindsets I need to actually look at. And one of the people that got me into this the most was Mitch Joel. I love the format he uses for 6 Pixels, where basically his guests recently wrote a book usually, and they talk about the book a bit, or in general what the person's about. I love to have Mitch Joel on the podcast. That really, honestly, that would be someone I look up to a lot. I'm actually reading 6 Pixel Separations right now. I read Control Alt Delete first, and really he would be like a major success point for me. And I feel like a lot of what motivated me throughout this year was, at one point, I want to be good enough that we can have an interview with Mitch Joel, like we always do, say, so what did you think about the interview? And say, oh, it was awesome. Like that's what that's going to be like.
Vision at the end.
Yeah.
I want to know who introduced you. I'm just curious, who introduced you to Mitch Joel and 6 Pixels?
I don't know. It's honestly, it's someone did, but they're not memorable enough. I don't know who it was, Vince. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so that's it for this episode, this recap of an episode, and I guess we'll stay tuned till next week.
Thank you, everybody that's been listening, whether it's starting this episode or since the very beginning. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks to anyone who's actually listened and then did something about what they want to do.
Whether it was to give us feedback directly, we really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to getting even more entrepreneurs for next year, starting off new things, and we always appreciate your feedback. So if ever there's anything, go on our website or send us an email directly, MontrealMarketeers.com.
That's with two E's.
With two E's.
And Marketeers.
Yeah. We'll talk about that story a bit more in
2018. In 2018. Why we came up with that name. We hope you liked this week's episode, and if you'd like to reach out to us or just want to simply check out our previous episodes, visit our website, Montreal Marketeers, that's with 2 E's.com. You can also download our weekly episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Waiting for the bottle to come. I heard the Lord say, battle has just begun. I heard my daddy say, life isn't worth the fight. And we hear Molly say, everything will be alright. I'll tell you my life story. Singing on Sunday.